Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Derek and Craig. Craig and I both been out hunting quite a bit lately, and Craig's been using that new 6-inch coil with the Equinox, and I've been tearing it up with this simplex, man. I was just telling Craig just about 2 minutes ago when he called in that I dug my butt off yesterday, and wouldn't you know it, we're here in December, and the temperatures have jumped up to 80 some degrees. It just floors me. I started out at 61 degrees, Craig, and it was just beautiful out. And by about noon, I had mud on me. I was just sweating so bad, digging down in the holes and stuff like that. Pretty hardcore. I was covered in just sand and dirt and everything else. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. It was, and I guess it's going to go up until the mid 80s up through the week, but. You've been most of the country's been frozen. I know a lot of you guys can't dig right now. You're all getting shut down for the winter for the most part. But Craig, I dug so many doggone holes yesterday, and I've been going after these signals. With this simplex, it seems you can get these whisper signals, but they're the way they have the machine as far as running in park mode. I call it coin, whatever, but it's a park mode and a field mode, and an all metal and then beach. But I've been running in the coin or park mode, but I've been having the iron volume turned down to 1 bar. Somebody asked me that on YouTube or something. They want to know where I had that set at, and that I wanted to turn it all the way off, but I was thinking that I still want to hear this iron because I've been digging really old iron items and everything, so. I turned it down to 1, and I just start, scanning, and I get these really zippy sounds and targets in the ground really deep, but they stand out enough, and I know there's iron around them, because I can see, well, not only see it on the VDI part of it, it'll jump down to 4 when it's cast iron, 4 to 10 usually is where it's at, but as far as nails and stuff go, I'm not really. I think I dug 2 nails thinking they were possibly good targets, and they were like the 20 penny spikes. They're and pretty old, but I have a lot of this on video, and I just haven't had the time to edit and publish all these. But I was going through and just pretty much letting people see exactly or hear exactly what I'm hearing, and I get these repeatable whisper signals down in the ground, and it's. I can't even usually I don't even get a VDI number in park mode. It's a repeatable signal. I'll flip over to field, which opens the machine up a little bit more, and then I'll start getting like a jumpy signal between like 60 and 80, and it'll be all over the place, but it's repeatable. And every one of the holes I dug, I think the first plug I take out is like 7-inch deep. I pop it out, and then I had to take 2 more scoops out of the ground in order to get down to the target, whether it be a shotgun shell or whatever else. But I ended up digging another pocket watch. This is the 3rd pocket watch on this property, all within about 10 feet of each other. I dug another axe head, real old one. I mean, they're all broken in the same spot, right? Like where you would slide the handle through them. It's broken right at the cutting side of the handle, broken clean off, and this one's really thick. I mean, it's probably about 3 inches thick. It's a pretty thick axe, but I mean, it's same thing. It's like the metal is just like separating everywhere, even the center of it, where the handle went. It's like red. I mean, deep red. This thing's got to be old because I've dug newer ones. I've dug ones from a couple of them that are from what I think are like right around 1900 to 1920. But then these other ones are just so considerably worse off. And, finding one like that, okay, you could say it was a bad, the metal wasn't the greatest or whatever, but a lot of there have been a couple guys, mostly over in the UK and stuff like that are telling me it's iron scale, and it's Spanish, is what they're seeing in it. The way it's scaled up really, a lot. It's the kind of metal or the process they made to make the metal. I don't know. I mean, I'm still trying to get my mind wrapped around how much stuff I have to clean. I mean, I'm pulling stuff out of the ground left and right. It's all in encrusted and everything. Ended up getting a couple interesting finds where one is I think it's a pepper shaker top, but it's brass, but it fits around like I'm assuming like a jar or something like that. This is probably 1920s stuff. But then the very top of it unscrews also. And then I found another one. I thought it was a big thimble or something like that. It turns out it was another top for like a pepper shaker, but it got these ornate raised things around the top of it. It's some kind of design. I got to clean it because it's really corroded bad. Old knives. I found a couple cast iron spoons. Just the spoon parts of it. I don't even know when did they use cast iron spoons, Craig. I mean, I just don't find a lot of them down here. But
I don't know if it's cast or not, but
it's really thick.
I'd see them all I'd see the stealth diggers and a lot of colonial people digging those kind of most of them are iron back then. Very few of them are brass. You start getting into pewter, and then later on you get into the brass ones. But
this is definitely cast. But
yeah, a lot of the early ones were iron, but I'm sure you see nowadays that they're all mostly stainless steel.
Right, or copper, brass, whatever coated, like a silver plating on them and stuff. This one is, it's just the spoon part, the very bottom, not the handle, but it's really, it's just so different from the ones I've dug in the past. It just looks old. This stuff is usually what I found is your first impression is usually pretty much on the right track when you're looking at an item. Just judging age and stuff, and it's hard to get good. For me, it's hard to get good photos of this stuff because a lot of it is so, like the etchings and stuff are so small. I almost have to get a tripod and a camera to get it to focus in better. It's probably the kind of cameras I have.
From what I saw, you just need more light.
Yeah.
The light will make a normally crappy picture look a lot better.
Yeah, because I got like 4
detailed stuff.
I got so much, it's like I was telling Pauline, I'm going to pull out another table or two because I put one picture of that was just basic stuff that I had found just on that one table, that photo I took. I probably have enough for 3 or 4 more tables. I mean, I probably dug at least 60, 70 targets yesterday, and I didn't even work part of the field. There's so much stuff that's layered up on that site. It just, it's fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm having a ball, but, I told her, I said, man, I'm going to have to spend all summer cleaning stuff because I don't want to rush cleaning anything. She comes out there and helps me, and, we kind of use little brushes and I have these little wire brushes too for the cast iron and stuff, and trying to when it has a design on it to try to get it dated. And most of the stuff I'm digging is probably 1900 to 1920, maybe 1930 tops. But then on the other section right by it is where I start getting into the 1800s stuff. And I think the oldest thing besides the hatchet and the axe head, and I think the stirrup every design I'm seeing, I'm actually looking at the design of the stirrup, the top of the part. Some of them are rounded where the strap goes through and stuff. I'm kind of looking at different details on it. I think I'm almost positive it's pre-Civil War anyways. And because of the bits and everything else I'm finding are so encrusted in, the sand is like packed around this stuff and it's really hard. It's like concrete. I don't usually find them that way in around my area. As far as digging up stuff, not even a mile away, I don't. The railway stuff I dug is the old Orange Belt Railway that runs through Webster. They have an old train station there and everything. Well, it's just what's left of it's just the foundation because it burned down. But even that stuff I was finding, I know that's pre 1906. I think is when they ripped up all the track and everything, and went to the regular gauge steel, the normal train tracks that we use nowadays. It was narrow gauge, in the 1800s, late 1800s. So I can kind of date that stuff. And this, iron that I'm getting is even older than that. Just, you can just tell looking at it. It's not. I had one guy say, "Well, it looks like it's about 50 years old." I said, "I've never dug a piece of metal 50 years old that was, in that condition. We're talking heavy iron stuff. Now, the chintzy, like a can or something like that, would fall apart. Just dealing with so many different thicknesses of steel. I mean, when you're talking something that's 2 or 3 inches thick, but it's delaminating that way, or what I call delaminating, and it's not in a water area. This is pretty much dry area. It's not like in a swamp or something like that where you'd have a lot of water effect on it. And they're deep. I mean, I think these things are all 12 plus inches down, which shocks me that the simplex is even getting them. I mean, yeah, they're bigger items, but even the small ones, I dug the picture frame. Well, I thought it was a picture frame. I'm not sure just yet. It looks like it has etching in it, but it's like 1.5 inches square. And I got this signal, and and I had it on video. I think my camera cut out right when I pulled it out of the ground, but 14 inches down in the ground, Craig. 1.5 by 1.5 inches. It's not a very big target. It's real thin. It's like a little frame or something like that. And I get this thing in my hand. I'm like, oh my God, it's really cool, And I went to stand up. I slipped, and I guess I closed my hand and snapped it in half. I was so ticked off. Rookie move. It happens. But that's one of the few things that I've actually broken. Usually, I worry about hitting it with a shovel. When you start popping stuff out of the ground, you got to be careful. But I had that button that probably 1890s, maybe early 1900. I think it's probably more in the 1800s. But collapsing. You're dealing with brass and copper. That's when it hits that oxygen or whatever, you got to be real careful with it for a little while because it's so brittle. And I just was taking a toothbrush and just went to barely rub on the back of that button, and it just collapsed just like that. It was almost like being in Culpeper, Virginia. That one DIV hunt. I watched that lady dig an eagle button, and she's all excited. It's the first eagle button I ever got, and she just barely rubbed the top of it, and the whole button collapsed. It's like, oh my God. But at least I got it on a picture of it before she did that. So, you kind of go with photos. I've learned to take, pictures of stuff. I'll send them to Craig or whoever, but what I'm finding. But sometimes that's the only thing you'll have left because some of this stuff just falls apart.
Well, the lucky thing is you don't have that red ground down there with all that mineralization. That's the worst. God, that's got to be the worst conditions for digging it. As far as penetration.
Oh yeah.
I was watching this guy that does digging in the dirt. He went up there for the first time and never used a pulse machine, and he actually got with some guys that helped him. But
well, that's good. Yeah,
it was tough. It was tough digging. He got a couple things, but for how much time they spent and everything, it wasn't a whole lot of finds. Like it's getting slower down there, but.
Yeah, you got to know. You got to really have some luck going on. I went there 1 year, but
what they were doing was the guys were trying to find a pit that hadn't been dug or a hut site,
right?
And that would yield some stuff. But it's you got guys that are very experienced hunters that have been doing this for years, that are on that site. So, they're pretty good at scoping this stuff out, and it's getting harder and harder. But it seems like if you're going there for a whole lot of finds, you're not going to really find a lot of finds, but you can actually find something really good, like super bucket list stuff.
Oh yeah, when I went there, we were digging. I'm trying to remember what part. It was in 2015. I went there for the DIV, and I dug believe it or not, part of a colonial buckle. A boot buckle or something like that, real small piece. I mean, it was ornate and everything. And then I got a couple Sharps bullets and a few other things. But man, everything I was digging was, probably, I think I dug those Sharps bullets at like 10, 11, 12 inches down. It was crazy. But I was hunting right, where people went through. I would look where the dig holes were and just kind of went in between, because a lot of people will stand up. Once they find a target, they'll stand up, get their stuff ready. they'll take a step forward and start metal detecting again. It's a habit thing. I've had to stop myself from doing it over the years, where I actually step backwards 2 feet and then start metal detecting again. That way I can go back over the hole and work my way forward so I don't miss anything. But that was my theory, and I said, well, I'm going to go right. I'm just going to work my way right in between all these holes right here, and I did pretty good. I mean, I had a couple like freak out moments where I dug down. I think it was 10, 11, 12 inches down, and then I see brass in the bottom of the hole, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's a breastplate or something like that, and I'm digging, it's about the same size, and it turns out to be a tractor thermostat or something like that. It was just like so disheartening because it was so deep, and you have to work so hard to get down that deep. That soil was really, it's really mineralized and packed and everything. But that's part of metal. You never know what you're going to have until you dig it up out of the ground. I've been surprised so many times in this hobby where I'm just probably dead set that this is going to be silver or this is going to be whatever, it's going to be a coin, and pull out something totally odd that I never even thought about digging. You know what I mean? You just never know until you get it out. And I still haven't figured out this whole shotgun thing with this simplex. All I can tell you, Craig, is it will. And I'm looking at the shotgun shells. There's not a lot of difference in them that I can tell, but they'll read up as 20, or they'll read up as 70 or 65, I think. Right before penny, I think around 60, or somewhere in between, it'll lock on. But you got to dig them because it could be a button. It could be, in those VDI ranges, it could be just about anything. And I've just learned to dig them. I dug like 6 of them yesterday, and they were down in with nails. I probably had about 20 or 30 nails after the hunt. And only 2 of those I dug thinking they were pretty good targets. So they were kind of like marginal targets. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty impressive to me. I mean, I didn't think this machine would keep my interest this long. I mean, I figured, I'll use it 3 or 4 times, and we'll see how it goes. Because I've used a lot of detectors, the lower end detectors. Because I have a lot of friends ask me, well, what's the best entry level machine, that kind of thing. I mean, I'm telling people buy one of them.
So now, now it's a simplex. It's the best entry level machine.
I think so. I think it is. Yeah. I'm having so much fun with this thing. It sounds weird, I know, but it's just been fun.
Yeah, I've been seeing the same thing. There's guys, this doctor that hunts with quarter hoarder, really nice guy, Don. Was it Don? Yeah, and he's been a AT Pro guy, forever, and so is quarter hoarder, Jason.
Right.
But he switched to an amphibio, and then he actually got a simplex too, because he wanted to try it. And he said he brought it out, and I guess Don grabbed a hold of it, and he hadn't let go. He won't let anybody else use it. And he said he's digging stuff left and right with this machine. He's just loving this machine. And he said, it's crazy. He said, didn't even really get used to it. He just started hunting with it, and he starts finding stuff.
Yeah, it blows your mind.
But he said, from what I'm seeing, this machine has the buzz that the Equinox had when it first came out.
Yeah.
Huge buzz. I mean, this machine is really, opening some people's eyes. And I love it because I think this is going to open up the whole hobby, as far as, people are going to be able to get, decent machines for a lot less money. And I think the whole hobby is going to change because of this.
I mean, I have, Craig,
it's forcing the competition, because
right.
It's needed. You need competition to get people innovating. That's
well, with these new chips and this new technology, that they can make machines better, mechanically, whatever, performance-wise, and not cost, not have all the bells and whistles on the outside, make a solid detector, but the insides, they can improve on them. I'm kind of curious what Nokta's going to do with the, like what they did with the like what Minelab did with the Equinox. Come up with these new programs, these updates or whatever to make the machine do better or whatever. Have this, whether they can do that with this Nocta or not. I think they could because they're already doing updates on it. This machine, it's not as good as an Equinox. I'm not even going to begin to say that because I'm sure from what I've seen with Craig and the rest of you guys using the Equinox, that machine's damn good. I mean, but we're talking price point. As far as what a lower end machine. This is, I don't know. I mean, I'm digging deep targets. I mean, and it's working very well in the trash or whatever the junky sites. If it tells you there's a high pitched tweak in there, and it's repeatable, there's something non-ferrous in that hole. Now it may be part of a mason lid, or you just don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be brass, copper, silver, whatever. These pocket watches, man, I went over this place with the bliss tool, and granted, I dug a lot, but I couldn't. The nuances is what I go by with the bliss tool. I can tell by the sound of something whether it's going to be brass or copper or something like that. It was so difficult to do that because there is so many targets in there, and when you get targets, nails, and stuff laying in with non-ferrous items, it's going to change the sound and the VDI. Well, if you're using a VDI machine, it's going to change that up a lot. If you have a piece of iron next to a piece of silver and they're touching each other, and it's going to be, and it's at depth. I mean, a detector's going to have a harder time figuring out what it is. But where this machine shines is it's giving you a sneak peek, so to speak. It kind of rhymes, but at any rate, it's giving you options. If it's iron, it just reads up as iron, Craig. And if I've gotten targets and I can kind of go over, and I'm getting 3 targets within about 4 inches. It's just, the recovery delay is good and everything. But that's the only thing I found with it is when you're in park, you're on deep items, you're not going to get a VDI number. It just, at 8 inches or so, it starts, give you a sound, but it won't give you a VDI. And I switch over into field, then it, it gets deeper, and it'll give you at least a partial VDI number and stuff. But turning down the iron volume helped with the depth. But I may try hunting without iron volume at all, just turning it all the way off and see what I can push. Because there's only so many adjustments with this machine you can make. It's not made to be like an Equinox where you can adjust a lot of different stuff. And that's where I kind of miss, because I already want to pump this thing up even more. I mean, the ground can handle it. I was running at full sensitivity for a little while, then I backed it down like 1 bar because it started getting a little bit noisy. But as far as being simple to use, turn it on and go. I literally, the first 2 hunts, never even ground balanced the machine, just left it in the automatic ground balance and just went. Not very many machines I've done that with that can actually give me the results that this one is. I did that with the Quest, even the Quest Pro. I mean, it's a good machine and everything. And I'm not going to beat it up at all because I did like it. It's just this Simplex is picking up what the Quest Pro wouldn't, and the Quest Pro is like waterproof and everything, but it's like an $800 or $900 machine. It's about on the level of the Equinox. And I didn't think I was going to like the Simplex that much, Craig, to be honest with you. I just didn't think it was going to hold my attention long enough, but it definitely is. I'm actually going to try to get out tomorrow again. I put a picture up, and I was telling Greg, I put a picture up of just some of the relics I found on that table, and it's like a 4-foot long table. I probably have enough to fill up, I don't know, 3 more tables, and not including the small stuff I found, the quarter size items and stuff like that. And I've only been out with this machine. I think yesterday was the 5th time I've had it out, and I probably dug at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 gallon buckets full of stuff, and some of this stuff I haven't even ID'd yet. I just don't even know what it is, but I know you get that feeling it's something good or something important. But, my wife laughs at me. She goes, you're going to have a wood burner or 2 of them by the time you're done, because I dig every bit of cast iron I can to get it out of the way. But I got doors, I got this and that, the feet for them, and I said I'm gonna build a relic stove or something like that. Just try to put all the parts together, make it a garden, a flower garden ornament. So just having fun with it. But Yeah, I mean, even I found I'm pretty sure it's a rocking horse, like 4 inch tall. I had to get some pictures of this stuff online, but yeah, I think it's from the, somewhere in probably the mid to late 1800s. It's either a pull behind toy, the old school one. It may be older than this too. I don't have I haven't cleaned it enough to see any detail, but I know it has some details on it. I'm hoping it has some kind of a maker's mark on it. But I think it's one of like a small rocking horse, a toy rocking horse type thing, and it's made out of cast for sure. But it's missing the head and the tail. I've been trying to find it, and it could be scattered anywhere in that pasture. Um, I'm finding stuff spread out so far. These pocket watch covers, and I find the pocket watch, and I'll find the cover 8 feet away. So it's there's a lot of targets I have to dig to try to to get all these pieces together to kind of get an idea of what I'm dealing with, because I think I'm dealing with a very very old site with like a 1890s to 1930s, and that's pretty much the limit. I think I found one Pepsi can that has a pull top on it, and it was only like 4 or 5 inches down. But that's the newest thing I found on this site. Uh, I'm not finding any current clad. Everything's older. So, I kind of got these little sections. I'm pretty sure I found where the house was, or at least where they hung out at. I'm finding stirrups and bits and stuff, so I think it's near the barn. But I pulled a satellite photo from 1971, and it shows another building. I can't zoom in far enough to see if it's a house or a barn, but it's behind about 100 and some feet away from the house that's there now. So and it has trees all around it, so you can't really see in the satellite deal. I'm trying to find some survey maps, because they'll have dots on that map where buildings are. At least that's what I found down here, and you could find those from like early 1900s. Sometimes even in the 1800s they did that. So I'm gonna have to do some overlay maps like you were talking about doing, Craig, to try to see. But this was the only building or house probably within a couple miles from what I can see in 1971. I just wish I could zoom in like one or two more times. I could really tell what I'm, what stuff was for sure. It's just the clarity of the photos are just not, or images are not good enough to tell. But the landowner was even saying, he goes, well, he's had it for 25 or 30 years, something like that. And, nothing has really changed around there. He's never really messed with the pastures and stuff. I know I found several broken plow blades. Apparently they tried to plow this pasture, and it's just so much big boulders and rocks under the ground that they were just snapping plow blades off. So it just became pretty much for cattle, for a pasture. So they've been beating on it, stepping on it. It's a really packed ground. Matter of fact, John just drugged the pasture day before yesterday, so it kind of leveled out the grass and stuff, the big clumps of grass and stuff that were growing. So it's made it a lot easier to detect. But with this one, even a detector shaft, Craig, doesn't have any wobble in it. That's always been, even with I think with the equinox, with a lot of machines have that wobble when you're swinging them. This one, it's the way they designed the detector shaft. It's like a pyramid. Well, picture a square, and it has the front corner, the top corners, trimmed back, so it just fits together differently. And I don't think it's a lot snugger fit, but it doesn't allow that wobble.
The dais is kind of like a square shaft instead of a round.
Yeah, it just doesn't have that wobble in it. Even the back end, and with the Quest, I had the arm cuff wasn't in, or it was designed good. It fit over the end, but then you had just like this little bitty screw that hold the arm cuff on, and it was just definitely an engineering fault, or whatever, whoever designed it. I mean, this screw it was so small on the Quest that I had to use a little bitty screwdriver, and I could barely get the thing in there. So I just went ahead and got a self-tapping screw and just drove that thing in, and then it held it tight, and then you didn't have the back end wobble either. So that worked out nice. But that was the only thing I could pick on the Quest about as far as design and everything. It was designed very nice, but The buttons on this machine, Craig, I don't know what the simplex or with the Equinox is like. How are the buttons on yours? Are they tough to push, or are they real easy if you bump them?
They're easy unless you have gloves on.
Oh yeah, in the cold weather. Yeah, this.
Yeah, it's the push buttons are where you can they're not like you can get like water and stuff in them. You can just kind of if you get dirt on the on the base plate and stuff, you can just kind of wash it off. Or I just take like a sponge and just wipe off the machine. It's so nice to have a waterproof machine where you don't have to worry about. You can just
rain
there's
or
a lot of
whatever
guys
else.
that this one guy I think calls himself Square Nail Squirrel. He just takes the machine out, lays it on the ground, and just hoses it off with a hose.
Yeah, it's that. I like it. It's compact. It's just like the Equinox as far as folding up and everything. And I told Pauline, I said, my wife, I was telling her, I said, man, I take the bliss tool out, or I take, like a V3 and a V5 out there or whatever with different size coils, and I got all this monstrosity. I got to make 2 or 3 trips with this. I grab my detector bag, has my headphones and everything in it, and the Simplex, which is all folded up, and a shovel in the other hand. I'm good. I can go anywhere. It's simple. I don't have to make multiple trips to the truck. I throw it right in the cab with me, and I don't have to worry about anything getting banged around because it's so it's down to like, I don't know, 25, 26 inches long. You just pull it right out of the truck, and it's no big deal. And I guess I'll be getting well, I'm actually kind of curious about the Vanquish myself, Craig. I don't know when that one's coming out, but that's running multiple frequency. I'm kind of curious to see how that how what the comparison is between that and the Equinox as far as performance. I know the Equinox is probably going to do better, yeah, but I mean I was just curious about the Vanquish itself, whether it's going to have good target separation and stuff like that.
They basically got 3 different models too,
right?
So I know there's I'm starting to see people getting them, but I haven't really heard much on it. It's like the Simplex is the buzz right now. I don't see a lot of other detectors getting that kind of buzz. This thing is just the price and the quality is.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at Sirius Detecting, and he still doesn't. Evan doesn't have them in yet. Calico doesn't have them in yet. They're all in this pre-order. Well, I like the way Evan's doing it. Sirius Detecting.
I think Calico's on their second order or something.
Right. And Evan just told me, I called him and talked to him for a little while about. Well, just before I got this Simplex, I had put on his site. He pretty much says, put your name here, and we'll email you as soon as we have them in. Which I just put my name. This is before I talked to him, and then all of a sudden, bam! I got an email. Oh, we have a Simplex or whatever, and I went ahead and bought it. Then I called him, and he said, I said, are you going to have these? He goes, I really don't know. He goes, I want to make sure. I didn't want to do pre-orders because that annoyed him a little bit. He just wants to do, when he has them, he'll sell them, and I kind of like that idea too. But he's looking at maybe January. I was surprised that they don't because of Christmas. Even Calico's, they don't have them either. I don't know how I lucked out to get one, but he just had it. It came up on the email, and I just went ahead and bought it. But I didn't really care about the headphone part. Some of y'all, the wireless headphones are good and everything. I prefer my wired headphones. I'm old school. I like them. But you can get like I think a Simplex or 253 or something, 254 without the headphones, and I think Loy's on chat. He says it's like 339 with the wireless headphones. It's worth it. Those wireless headphones alone are like $80 some or $100, Craig. I mean, they're probably on the same wave as what the Equinox has. So.
That's why I got the Equinox 800 because I wanted to quality headphones, and I wanted them to sync right and everything.
Right. I'm going to try to get some earbuds. That's what I want to do.
I like these. They're really nice headphones. Equinox has. They're light, and they sync up pretty fast. I love this. I can just put the machine on the ground and not have to worry about the cord on it. I hate cords now.
Oh, I'm just a traditionalist.
I'm not. I like new stuff.
Yeah. You're the tech guy.
We had all that old crap back 30 years ago, so
right.
I'm done with all
well, it's
that.
hard to set down my Sunray Golds or my Killer Bees, man. They were good, and I haven't even started using headphones yet because I've been making video. I think I'm calling just let's go detecting or something like that, and just using the machine, and y'all are seeing the same thing I'm seeing or hearing, whatever. So I can't really use headphones so well, and still. Have it on video. So I know when I put headphones on, I'm going to get all kinds of whisper tones because I'm hearing them through the speaker, and it's noticeable there. I can kind of wave it over, and I'll have 15 targets. They're just everywhere. So I know there's coins there. I'm digging shotgun shells at 11 plus inches down, and it's locking on. Not getting VDIs, but it's locking onto them sound wise. So shotgun shells like a penny. When you think about it, that size target or whatever. So yeah, I'm hoping. There's a couple times I thought I had silver coins, and it just turned out to be a pocket watch, but it was like 92. I'm like, oh my god, it's got to be silver, and it was just locking onto it so good. And then, but I didn't get disheartened because it was a pocket watch. I like digging those. I haven't dug one in a while, and now I got 3 in the last couple times I've been out.
It'd be nice to find a coin to kind of age the sight a little bit more.
Yeah. I definitely know I have 1920 stuff there, absolutely, because I've dug it before, in different sites, and I know what I'm looking for as far as that goes. And I've got not even counting the bottles I've dug, Craig. I've dug these Woodbury, I don't know if they're cold cream or whatever, but I got the whole set now, different sizes, different round and squared up. And Pauline was laughing. She goes, "My God, you have those lined up on there." I said, "Yeah, they're nice bottles. I'm not into glass, but." These are like milk glass, but some really thick glass. I don't even know what this stuff come off of. It's thicker than any kind of glass I've seen. I find a lot of square bottles. The ones you were digging, Craig, that squared, and they got words on them. You can't tell because they're broken what it said.
Yeah.
And they're cork tops. I got a couple cork top bottles. So I'm just saving everything. I'm saving the junk. I'm saving the good stuff. And, just what I've dug off that site, and I'll get some photos of it and put it up there and do a video on it. Because I probably have a 50-50 site. 50% of what I dig is junk, 50% is good, which is a good average anyways. Or what I would consider a relic, for somebody I find interesting anyways. But yeah, so many targets, and it's really good to learn on a site like that too, and learn a metal detector. It's kind of kept me figuring out certain things with this machine that you can do, even to speeding up the coil and stuff like that. Craig, I think it was Gavin that was talking about that, whether it would whip the coil, whether it locks on. Sometimes with this machine you can whip the coil and it grabs the signal better, which is not really the way it's supposed to be.
Well, the Bliss tool does that too.
Yeah. It's going to lock onto a VDI anyways, and then you can kind of get an idea, and usually it's pretty right. So, but I try to, even with pinpointing with this machine, I've noticed that when you have multiple targets, it's hard to get a good pinpoint lock. Or you're within inches, but I find I'll dig down, Craig, and it seems like I have to move over about like an inch or two farther to the right or left of the hole, and that's where my item is, but it's still at great depth. But then again, when you have all these nails and stuff, you don't know what you're pinpointing, what the machine's pinpointing, because when you put that, it's all metal. So
I've had that problem where you got a lot of nails, iron in the ground, and you pinpoint and you're off because it's pinpointing to the heavier iron.
Right.
Right. And so I've gotten so where if I hear some scratching in the sound, I'll pinpoint to the sound instead. I'll pinpoint discriminate instead of in all metal. uh, but it's you know, both those machines just pick out targets out of the iron like it's nothing, compared to the other machines.
Oh my God, yeah.
I use that, I drop that iron bias way down and I dig more iron, but I'm getting more good targets out of the yard because it's so hard to, find stuff anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's still stuff in the ground, but I dig, in a couple hours I can dig 100 nails out of my yard, out of holes.
Yeah.
I every hole I clean it out. I keep running it's like I got that little Corbin key the other day, and I checked the hole after I got it. I must have dug 3 roofing nails out of that hole. Those damn roofing nails.
Oh,
they seem to come back better, than the regular nails.
I think it's the flat heads on them, or the bigger surface area is why or what they're made out of, that galvanized or whatever. Even with this cast, I've said that on this site too, that most of this cast will come out at like a 4 VDI lock on, or maybe a 7 or 8. But it's typically 4. But then I get some of this cast iron, man, it's jumping really, and they're not any bigger of pieces or anything like that. I think it's what's in that cast, what they made that, cast iron with, or what was mixed in with it. I think it's a mixed metal thing, and it just the detector doesn't. I mean, it knows it's cast iron. I can tell, but why they would jump so wildly sometimes, and I have like every 5th or 6th piece I dig item will do that, and I'm like, I put the shovel down, I feel it, and that's another thing. One guy was asking me, why don't you just push the shovel in? It's I don't know what you want to call it, the relic digging bump or something. I bump the shovel in the ground. I'm trying to prevent myself from, because there's so many targets there, I don't want to mess anything up a lot. Obviously digging, I dig the holes wider, and I'm able to do this because this is a pasture that the farmer does not care. He said just fill the holes in. It doesn't matter what they look like as long as they're filled in. So, I've had a couple of guys, well, it's not textbook digging. Well, no, it's not. This is a site he can't even plow. He can't disc really. The cows are on it, and everything else. He doesn't care as long as the holes are filled. So I dig a little bit wider, and I bump that shovel in the ground because I come across glass. I could feel, what glass is when you feel it. I could tell cast iron, most of the time stone, because we do have, this limestone rock, this flint rock. That's another thing too, Greg. I've been digging what looks like worked pieces of stone, like they were making, napping it for arrowheads and stuff. And I got a couple of pieces that are like purple red kind of flint rock, but you can see where they've knocked, they've actually chipped them off or whatever to make arrowheads or whatever. They're scrapers and stuff like that, which is kind of neat. And I've been going around and looking. He has this stuff piled up everywhere. I mean, it's around flower beds. It's around. This place had a ton of shallow rock, is what it amounts to. And I told him, man, you got to look at this stuff because some of these are stone tools. I picked one up and it looks like they were trying to make a stone axe out of it. You could actually see where they had grooved it out to put the rope or whatever to tie it onto a stick or however they did it. He goes, oh my God, I didn't even notice that. He goes, that's work, that's smoothed out. I said, yeah. I said, this is what you're looking for. This is paleontific or whatever this is, way back. But yeah, I found 3 or 4 in the holes too. I haven't found an arrowhead yet, but these other, what I think are, they were trying to make a stone tool, or they're making arrowheads or spearheads or chopping devices or whatever. They're just they look too worked. It wasn't just broken off. These pieces actually have chunks taken out at weird angles and stuff. So that's a whole nother realm. I'd like to take a skid steer and scrape off like 6 to 8 inches of that dirt and just push it to one side and then detect, because I know there's targets. If I'm digging them at 10, 11 inches down, there's got to be stuff 14, 15 inches down in the ground. But that's where the bliss tool will come into effect. That's my cleanup machine. I'll take that in there with the 11-inch coil, probably maybe next weekend. Use the simplex for a while and then grab the bliss and and see what it comes up with, because I dug the heck out of stuff with it, but I just didn't have any. I didn't know what the hell I was digging. I mean, it was just too many targets. So I knew it was non-ferrous or whatever. I guess that's all that really matters. But with the cast iron, it kind of throws a monkey wrench in, because that machine will pick up cast iron pretty good. It's not something people typically deal with on sites either, Craig. When you're watching, videos other people do, they don't find a lot of cast iron, or they're not, whatever. It's not there to find. So you got to get this stuff out of the way anyway. So you might as well just dig it. I think it's neat stuff. But when you're dealing with a chunk that's 1 foot by 1 foot laying flat in the ground, it's covering all kinds of targets right near it. That's a pretty big target to be in the ground. What about cast iron nails, Craig? I meant to ask you this before the show. When did they make cast iron nails? I got some of those too. And I didn't even know that was a thing.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah,
I've got nails from different eras in my yard. Some of them are going back to colonial times. They're those nails some of them tend to delaminate, in the ground over time.
It's like it comes down to like a single little it's not wire, but the ones I have one that's broken. I said, man, that's a weird looking nail. And I picked it up, and you can feel it feels like cast. It's thick like cast would be, but like it's broken in the middle, it's delaminated. It has like this little thin wire inside of it.
Well, I think a lot of them, they weren't cast; they were cut.
Right. I don't know what the heck I'm. Like, I'll have to put some. I'm getting all kinds of different nails. Square nails. Some of them are square shafts. Some of them are rectangular, like from Civil War era. I'm getting these round nails, which I think it was 1900 or something like that, but they are quite old. They're very corroded and stuff like that. And most of the nails I'm finding, believe it or not, are bent at a 90-degree angle. Like they drove them in and bent them over. I don't know what the deal is with that. I mean, you find some like that, but these are all the same bend-wise. They're bent at the same spot. So I don't know if they had something. Maybe they had something on their. Oh, go ahead.
I got an L-shaped nail the other day that was it was a big square nail, but it was bent, into an L shape, and it gave a good signal in both directions. But I had the iron bias way down. But,
I'm thinking they had them in a board, and and they pounded them in and they bent them up like that to hang stuff. I mean, they're all bent the same. If they're about I don't know, we'll say 3 or 4 inches long. And they're bent, in the same spot on the nail, all bent up. I'm like, what the heck, man? It just seems weird. If they're pulled out, they'd be bent in different directions and different angles. So, yeah, I'm keeping everything. I'm just going to, I'll go through it one by one. And Pauline says, well, you're going to have a busy summer when it's 100 degrees out. You can sit in your office. And I said, yeah, it's going to look like a cleaning station. We're going to have electrolysis here. We're going to have, whatever, peroxide here. We're going to have everything going on in this building. And she just started laughing at me. She goes, you're going to take up your whole office with cleaning stuff. And, yeah, rock tumblers and Dremel tools. And so, yeah, it's a whole nother adventure, when you're trying to ID something. I did watch that Oak Island. I did like the one guy that they call him a conservator of the museum. And he will clean, they'll bring him an item. The guys from Oak Island, whatever the guy, I can't remember the guy that metal tech's over there, but he brings them stuff, and he has he comes up with these little case of tools or whatever, and he has a glass, I think it's a glass brush. It's a glass, to clean coins, to clean whatever. You got to be careful with it. I guess, obviously it's glass. It's probably hardened. I'm resorted to wire brushes, Q-tips, toothpicks, whatever. A lot of you guys use the same stuff to clean targets, but I was telling Pauline, don't grab that metal brush after that brass. And she just looks at me. She goes, I wasn't going to. You think I'm that dumb? I said, well, I was worried about you taking that wire brush to a pocket watch cover and just scratching the crap out of it. So we have these fun arguments, as back and forth. She goes, you must think I'm a rookie. I learned from the best. I'm like, well, I just want to make sure, But she'll sit out there with a little wire brush on a cast iron, and she's trying to get all the details to see if we can see what kind it was. Because I think that these were the really nice, fancy stoves, cooking stoves they had back in the 20s and probably before that, with all the doors on them and everything. It just, there's so much of it. There's some pieces I can't even get out of the ground, Craig. I don't even know if it's the base that's got buried over the years, or I mean, I put my shovel on, I can't budge it, and I'm like, and I don't want to make a 4-foot trench in the field, digging this thing out, but it may come to that. Get a skid steer in there and just kind of work the ground a little bit because it's so hard. Try to get some of that bigger iron, because I found pipes in the ground, like, I don't know, I thought it was gun barrel, but it's about 4 or 5 foot long, but it's connected somehow down into the ground, and there's like stone packed around it. They didn't even use concrete. It was like stone. They drove it into the stone. I don't know. It's just the weirdest site I've dug in a while. Plantation properties, I love doing them, but it's just, you just never know what you're going to get into for the most part. I mean, it keeps the adventure going though. But
at least you got a lot of targets to dig. It's
yeah, it sure beats
shotgun
shells.
There's got to, it's like my yard. Your spot's probably got a lot of stuff masked. You just got to keep going through it.
Yeah, I'm taking it off by layers. I'm just trying to get the really prominent signals out of there, and then like I said yesterday, I was going more for. I mean, obviously, if I had a good one to pop through, I'd dig it, but I was paying a lot of attention to the quiet targets. Those are going to be deeper or smaller items, but everything I got was 2 and 3 shovels, deep. And I'm like, well, what the heck? I just didn't expect that out of this machine. But it's a good thing. I'll take it. But probably going to wrap it up, though,
Craig. Is there any word on any aftermarket coils or any more coils coming out for those machines?
Rumors that I've heard, or at least people were wanting a smaller coil for this simplex. I'd like to see them come out with, a 5-inch coil. That would help me out immensely to get in between. That's what I'm thinking anyway. So. Oh, hang on a second. What's that, Pauline?
There isn't an aftermarket for that one yet?
Not yet. There's no aftermarket yet. As far as coils.
Yeah, kind of plug, or I guess what I'm asking is, you and Craig know that one company that I'm thinking of.
Oh, like nail coils? Yeah, nail coils and stuff.
Why don't you guys get in touch with someone like that? I mean, take the initiative.
Well, a lot of times these are under whatever trademarks and stuff like that. They can't just go and make them.
Start somewhere. Whatever he does in his basement, ain't nobody gonna know.
That's right. I like my wife's attitude. What they don't know won't hurt them. But no, I think I've heard some talk about it on an Okta set about aftermarket coil, but it's just, I don't know how all these trademarks and all, they're funny, Craig, man. It's like the Mine Lab, they came out with their own, but I'm sure Nell, they make a great aftermarket coil, and the accelerator coils, whatever they call them, the SEF coils that I used to buy from the White's machine. I really enjoyed those. The 6x8, I loved it for the Whites, but
I was hearing that some of them have a chip in them in the coil. And
really?
If you don't have that chip, you can't really make an aftermarket coil. But I've been kind of researching this. It doesn't seem like Mine Lab wants anybody making coils for them. They want to do it themselves. I can see that.
Well, yeah, it's their technology. You want to protect your stuff, but I think if anything else, if Nell cut them in on it or a little bit or whatever, make it money-wise, make it okay. I think it'd be a good thing. And they'll make, they make some doggone good coils for a lot of different machines. I guess Lloyd's going to ask about the coils for the simplex. We have, I'll have her over in December 19th. Yeah, do that, Lloyd. Kind of curious. If they're looking for, it's like I told them with the Vanquish, I know that Lloyd's using a Equinox. You're using an Equinox, Craig. Mine Lab needs to get you guys some doggone. If they have something coming out, throw it at you. You're going to give them an honest opinion about both of you guys would. You guys have been in the hobby a long time, so heck yeah, you use us. But
yeah, well, there's hundreds of people that are.
Oh yeah.
It's like I just like using the machine and
right.
playing around with it. I'm glad I'm not selling or doing all that stuff anymore. I can do what I want to do, and I've been approached by another company that wanted me to start doing stuff for them, and be like a Virginia rep to start off. And
Right.
I thought about it, and I had a couple guys, really pushing me, and I've known for years, and I just started thinking, I want to do what I want to do. I don't want to be tied down to any, manufacturer. I just like metal detecting. I'm tired of all the drama of selling and all that stuff, and I just want to metal detect and have fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, it's a freelance. I mean, it's like, I have no dog in the hunt with Simplex. I mean, I have no, I don't make, I'm just like you. I hunt with a machine, and Craig's the same way with the Equinox. But it's nice to have those kind of opinions because we have nothing to gain or lose, by giving, opinion or showing people how to use it and stuff. It's kind of like, Loy's the same way. I mean, he uses different metal detectors too, and Pulse and VLF, and a lot of the guys, Gavin on here, all of them, so we're kind of like an impartial group of people.
I still take the Deus. I've taken the Deus out a few times recently and found stuff with it, and I found, I still, I've been cleaning all these nails out, and I'm going to go back over these areas, again with the Blitz tool, with the bigger coil, and see if I can pull stuff deeper. And I don't know. It's I like having different machines, and each machine will do something a little bit different to pull you something out of the ground.
Right.
It's the way it is.
Well, Loy says that they Mine Lab and Nokta had both sent them stuff to test out and stuff. Yeah, let us know, Loy, because to me it's impartial. That's what I like about it. You have nothing to gain or lose by, oh, this thing's great, but it's really a piece of crap. I mean, you're gonna say if it's good or if it's bad. Straight up. That's the way Craig is, the way I am. And that's why I think I took the Simplex out the way I did, was I turned the machine on. I think I moved the volume, and that's it. And that's the way I hunted with it, like a novice would. Like you got it, got your first metal detector. You don't know about adjustments and everything. You know what you read in the manual, if you read the manual. So I wanted to see what the machine would do, just turn on and go. And that's exactly the way I hunted with it. And that was impressive. I mean, I know they have the thing set up, on the presets where it's going to work in most environments and stuff like that. But, other than this, the sensitivity, there's not a whole lot of adjustments on. I mean, you can adjust the volume, you can go off frequency, the offset for frequency and stuff like that. Of course, the iron volume. There are settings in there, and they do work well with each other. I want to take it to the extreme side here pretty soon, and just see what I can do with the machine that way. And like I said, I have good ground down here, so I don't think the ground balance thing has been an issue. If I was up in Culpeper or something like that, I would definitely have to do a manual ground balance. I don't know how the thing will act in mineralized ground at all. I do want to take.
So you can test it.
Well, yeah, I'm going to take it over to the beach sometime or another and hit the salt water with it. That's one thing I'm very curious about. But I have used that mode, and it seems to be very sensitive and work well. But I just haven't hit it in the actual water. That's where I'm really kind of curious about. I've seen the UK guys do it, and it seems to be very stable, which is a nice. It's kind of like the Equinox that way. Equinox is pretty stable also, but do some of that testing like we would do with the, like we did with the Blisstal, with the the chains, the gold, the low conductors in that saltwater environment. What kind of depth you can expect or whatnot. I think it'll do well though. I think it'll definitely at least keep your interest going anyway. So, but yeah, we ended up going an hour today, Craig.
Yeah.
It's already 8:00, but we got to let you guys go today. Let you get to work and everything. The boss man get upset. If you're snowed in up there, just try to stay warm. Doggone, I heard. I seen some major. I have a couple buddies up in Maine that were under 3 foot of snow or some god awful thing. Kind of crazy, but we're going to be on what? Oh, Fred.
We got 51 today, which is actually subtropical compared to what we've had the past few days, but it's supposed to rain all day long. It's supposed to get a quarter of an inch or something, but I don't see any yet. But
You know, Gavin's up there over in Australia, and I think he said it was 85 degrees this morning. I said, brother, we're in the same boat, you know, but his is probably a lot hotter over there in the daytime. I think he was getting up to around 100, but it's like summertime over there. But yeah, you know, the weather's been jumping around a lot. But you know, we'll talk to you guys on Wednesday morning. We're on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. And of course, our regular show on Saturday night. Be sure to check out the other shows, like and follow them there on Spreaker. There's a lot of several different metal technique shows. We all talk about the same stuff, but it's different formats and a lot of information that you can get from those shows. But tell a friend. I mean, none of us really do a lot of advertising or anything like that. It's pretty much word of mouth. And if you know somebody getting into the hobby or been in the hobby, they don't know about the shows, kind of let them know. And maybe you'll, have more friends on here. So you never know, Craig. But we'll talk to y'all later. Be safe out there and happy holidays to you.